Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Hey, everybody. Alright everybody, welcome back to another stream. As you can see, we're going to be doing some Sega Dreamcast tonight. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting stream. For those of you guys outside North America, today is what we call Thanksgiving in the United States specifically. And it's basically a day everybody celebrates. I wanted to say everybody's off work, but with all the Black Friday shenanigans and corporate retailers forcing their employees to work on Thanksgiving. That is not the case for everyone, but a lot of people are off work when they're normally not off work. And so I don't know if we're going to actually get people hanging out. We got quite a few awesome people in the chat already, which is really cool. And yeah, this is going to be a variety stream. Normally, I typically like to try to just focus on a single game these days, but, you know, on the occasional instance, I'll do a variety stream like I used to. I used to mainly just do variety streams on YouTube, and then I found it was a whole lot easier to just do a single game and try to run through the entire game from start to finish, instead of playing like 10 different games for just a short period of time. So this is we're gonna be playing some kind of, I don't want to say crappy games. We're gonna be playing a lot of like B and C grade titles, even some D grade titles, some low end stuff here. Because my Dreamcast collection is not that large, so I figured we started off with a favorite of a lot of people, and that is Soul Calibur. Some of my games are Japanese, like Soul Calibur here, so we will be using a boot disc to boot into some of these games. And we're gonna bounce between some of these games. We might play them for just a couple of minutes. We might play them for 30 minutes. I don't know. We might actually make some progress. Like Soul Calibur, I'll probably just run through from start to finish. Although I will need to jump into the practice mode first, because I haven't played this in quite some time, and I don't want to just rush right into the arcade mode and, you know, while I'm trying to still figure things out. We'll go into practice mode and mess around with one of my characters. But yeah, so this should be an interesting stream. And for anyone watching on the archive, I'll try to post a list of the games in the description box. If not the description box, it'll be in the comment section. That's usually the better place to do it. It's easier to find. And I'll just pin it to the top so you guys can see what games we're playing. And maybe I'll be able to put some time codes there as well if I have some time to do that. So yeah, like I said, we're going to start off with Soul Calibur. But before I actually kick things off, I must thank my current Patreon backers, and we actually got a couple of new backers. Sharner Smith, which I think I actually shouted out last week. But actually, some of you might not have seen that shout out last week because I left that Dark Souls stream unlisted because it was just horrible. But yeah, Sharner Smith, and who actually I think goes by Smithereens here on YouTube. And then Jose Pena. So thank you two for your new pledges, and everyone else that's continuing to back the channel, and anyone that has backed the channel and might not be anymore. But thank you all for your support. Period. It really keeps me motivated to be doing this as regular as I am here on YouTube. And of course, I've always got to flash by those super chatters. We actually got no super chatters last week, which was interesting, but no worries. Here's the 4 fantastic individuals that have donated in the last 30 days. I haven't really figured out a better way to do the super chats. Like, we've had some amazing super chat contributions, and like I feel like I should have something permanent here, but like I don't want to alienate the Patreon folks that have also supported for a long time, and I don't know, it's confusing. So I think I'm just going to stick with this 30-day model here. So for those of you guys that have super chatted in the past, thank you very much still. So let's go ahead and run over to this again. I'm going to keep the game volume a little bit lower on this stream because Dreamcast audio is highly compressed, and it's like, it feels like they're adding, or they've added like limiter functions on a lot of games, and so game audio would just like peak and distort on the Sega Dreamcast, and the audio will also fluctuate wildly. So I'm going to keep it kind of low on this stream for those of you guys that want your game audio blaring. I apologize for that. I just don't want to have to go in and try to reconfigure the audio on every single game. I love this intro too, by the way. It's fantastic. Great backing tune. Great visuals. This was a stunning game when it came out. This was an arcade game before it came out on Dreamcast, but they pretty much reworked the whole graphics engine in this version of the game. It looks leagues better than the original arcade release, and they did a similar thing with Tekken Tag Tournament on PlayStation 2. Like, they heavily updated the graphics in that version as well. Right on, Chris. Just remember that on YouTube you can change the quality settings, so you're not stuck to like a high stream quality. So if your internet's not very good, feel free to lower it down to 480p or something like that. Although you won't be able to read the chat, but still, if you want to just listen, that's an option. So, all right. So, I actually haven't bought this game yet. Or not bought this game. I haven't actually played this game yet. I actually bought it a few months ago when I was picking up some Dreamcast games, and I was looking at the US copy of this game, and it's like $20+ now. Which is reasonable because it's a fantastic game, but the Japanese copy was like half the price. It was like $11, so I went ahead and just bought the Japanese version of the game, which might be a bummer for there's like one of the quest modes or something, but I don't really care about that stuff typically with fighting games. I usually just do the arcade mode and that's it. So Killick is the character I always played as, so we're gonna go ahead and just mess around with him for a little bit. And all I want to do is just get a handle on the controls again real quick, because like I said, it's been a long time since I played this. And while I played a lot of fighting games, some of them quite competitively back in the day in the arcades, Soul Calibur was one I just played really casually, so I didn't really get into seriously. But I still want to make sure that I don't suck too badly. So you can sidestep and then press Y. Which I guess is your heavy attack. So this should be your weak attack, this should be your heavy, and then you've got kick. And then A is block. And then I think A plus any of the other attacks will do various throws and combinations like that. Yeah. This is actually really ideal for a joystick. Unfortunately, I don't have one on the Dreamcast right now. Yeah, so Soul Calibur is a lot like Tekken, where, obviously it's a 3D fighting game, but it's not like Street Fighter, where it's, you know, simple punches and kicks and stuff like that. I mean, you have those moves, like just tapping the fierce kick or fierce punch or whatever. But it's a lot of like pressing forward plus attack, and then diagonal down plus attack, back plus attack. It's like every direction plus an input has a totally different attack, which makes these games kind of difficult to learn, but it also makes them kind of like button masher friendly. Like if you're gonna mash your way in a game, well, that was a weird hiccup there. If you're gonna mash your way in a game, you're gonna do all sorts of stuff in Soul Calibur that, you know, you might not do in something like Street Fighter. So I think there's one reason why Soul Calibur was very casual friendly, because of just its just how the moves are executed in this game. You can just not know what you're doing, like, you know, wave your hands across the buttons over and over, and your character will still do a bunch of different things. But Soul Calibur does have a high skill ceiling as well. So there was a lot of competitive players in this game in the arcade back in the day that were just phenomenal. Now there's also a like a parry system, and I think you do that by, yeah, pressing forward and block, and then back and block. And then, is there... yeah, down, forward, and block as well. Let's see if we can get this guy to... there we go. See, that's what it does. But you gotta use the right one. There's at least 2 different ones. I don't know back in... let's see if we can try it. I wish he would attack more so I can test this out. Yeah. But that's very difficult to read in this game, so... okay, let me go ahead and put that back on freestyle. There we go, that's one of the moves I liked. That one was good too. So basically just doing like a forward tap with the fierce punch will do that. Back with fierce will do that. You can just tap once with this. Do a little combo like that. Okay, I think we'll be fine, honestly. So let's go ahead and just jump right into the arcade mode. This might be... oh, damn it. The game gave it away on its own.
Welcome back to the stage of history.
The Soul Calibur series stayed around for a long time. I mean, there's what, like 5 of them? Or is it 4? I don't know. But I'm pretty sure it made it into the 360 generation, right? Hell, I think there's even one on the Wii. Well, yeah, Tekken's also been around much longer. And I think Tekken has wider appeal. You know, it's a little more realistic. Soul Calibur 5 killed it. Yeah. I wasn't sure what the reception was past, like, part 3. So one of the big things about Soul Calibur is knocking people out. And, you know, Virtua Fighter was a game that kind of pioneered that. And some fighting games went for that style, others didn't. Soul Calibur was one that did. Now my question is, did Soul Edge have ring outs? I didn't really play Soul Edge, but that was actually the predecessor to Soul Calibur.
This victory strengthened the soul of you win. Battle 1, fight!
There we go.
This victory, you win. Battle 2, fight.
To hop online and realize that almost all the players use the exact same character. So either that means that Killick was just super easy to use, or he was broken and all the high-end players just use that character for that reason. That's why balance in a fighting game is extremely important. If you have a character that's significantly more broken than others, everybody's going to use it in the competitive scene, and it's kind of annoying. Oops. There we go. Oops. we have to watch that again. Whee! Both simple and broken. Well, that's an even worse combination.
Battle 2, fight.
I'm trying to remember the strings. Like, I think you could just do weak, 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 and he'll basically do like a 3-hit combo.
Final battle, fight.
Yeah, the side step attacks always work really well against the AI. I always like this attack too. It's a back, kick, and then fierce.
You win.
It was fun to play against friends, yeah.
Versus Maxi. Battle 1, fight. This victory strengthened the soul of Kick. You win.
All right.
Battle 2, fight. This victory strengthened the soul. You win. Versus Battle 1, fight.
The visuals still hold up really well in this game too. The capture card feed's not going to do it justice because my upscaler's deinterlacing it, and it just kind of makes things look blurry. But I was looking at this game on my CRT, which I also have linked, the Dreamcast linked into, and it looked phenomenal. I was like, wow, this is so sharp, man. So if you got a Dreamcast, and this goes for PS2 as well, and GameCube, and Xbox, you're really best off playing them on an old CRT to get the best effect. Oh, man.
This victory, you win. Final battle, fight.
Oh, I have to be careful. Whoop. Oh, I'm dead, probably. Yep.
You 9. 8. Battle 1, fight.
There we go. Easy one. Hey, Christopher. Thank you for your pledge, man. Much appreciated.
You win. Battle 2, fight.
Oh, I was not trying to jump like that. If you quickly tap up multiple times, your character will jump instead of, like, doing a sidestep. There's just so many little details in this game that you have to know to play it well. Yeah, see, one thing I like with Killick is using his sidestep and fierce attack, and then doing his forward and then weak attack 3 times. It's like a mid-air combo. So what I used to do back in the day against my friends is just do this attack, and it would just, if it hits, if it connects, bam, it just knocks them right off. And it's so fast, too, that they just don't see it coming. You know, especially a lot of my friends, they weren't very good at fighting games, and so it was very easy to just do little, stupid little things like that, just frustrate the hell out of them. Or little things like that too work. Yeah, the Dreamcast days were fantastic days. Nightmare. I do not, Christopher. I have it on GameCube and Xbox Live and PC, but not on Dreamcast right now. I want to eventually get the GDEMU, so I can basically just load up any ISO I want. So whenever that happens, I'll have access to pretty much all the shoot-'em-ups and, you know, whatever there is. Oops. You know, what I should have done is actually message my brother, and picked up some Dreamcast games from him, because, you know, he's got a lot of the shooters I enjoy, like Giga Wing 1 and 2 and Gunbird 2. And I always like to play shmups on the Dreamcast when I'm doing a Dreamcast stream, but I just don't have them at the moment. Yeah, Ridley, I need to pick up the PSP collection of that as well. I did a Let's Play in the first Power Stone this week, and it kind of got me interested in Power Stone 2 again. I always mainly just played the first one, but now I want to play the second one. I mean, I played it back in the day, but I haven't really played it since, so... There we go. Hey, Town of Horrors, how are you doing? Has the stream started? Yes it has, James. There we go.
This victory, you win.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, sorry about that, James. Yeah, we've been live for about 20 minutes now, 25 minutes. You You didn't really miss a whole lot. It's Soul Calibur. It's, you know, I think everyone's pretty familiar with this game. Great fighting game, but one I never really played too seriously back in the day, and so I'm not that good at it versus other fighting games I like to play on my channel. Oops. Yeah, Christopher, the jump of the jump from PS1 and N64 to Dreamcast was pretty big. I mean, even from the N64 to Dreamcast, you know, was a pretty large jump. Unfortunately, you had some lower quality Dreamcast efforts that ended up just looking like N64 games, but the stuff that came out in the beginning, especially like Soul Calibur and Sonic Adventure and whatnot. House of the Dead 2, just absolutely phenomenal looking games in 1999, even 98, because a lot of them, some of them came out in 98 in Japan. Yeah, and if you went from PS1 to Dreamcast, it was just like, oh my god, it was jaw-dropping moments. It's hard for me to not think of the Dreamcast in a nostalgic light because it was so impressive when it came out. That's just a memory and a feeling that's really hard to shake. But what you find is that a lot of the games hold up really well too. You know, much like PS2 games and Xbox and GameCube. Bossum Burf's favorites are Stormwinds. What? Grandia 2, Skies of Arcadia, Jack Ryan Radio, and Space Channel 5. Yeah, so like I said at the beginning of the stream, this is gonna be a variety of, like, aside from Soul Calibur, like a variety of like B and C and D grade titles, just because my Dreamcast collection is not that large right now. And yeah, for those of you guys that were familiar with my past collecting on Dreamcast, I used to own a full US set with all the variants and everything. I sold it at the end of 2014, so it's been about 3 years now, exactly, to reinvest in another pinball machine. And so while I've owned every single Dreamcast game at one point in time in the United States, I no longer do. So it's harder to stream the Dreamcast as a result. I have maybe 30-ish games right now, but, you know, Dreamcast stuff has really gone up in price like everything else, especially for the great titles. So I'm kind of limited right now in my selection. So hopefully I can get a GDMU sometime. I'm gonna check my capture card settings too. I don't know if it's just me, but things look a little washed out. I am actually using an RGB cable from the Dreamcast. I don't do VGA just because it's too much of a pain. There's a lot of games that don't work, and trying to force them to work can be a pain as well. I'm gonna see if I can up the saturation a little bit. Might help the picture just a tiny bit. No, I'm not going for a complete library of anything. Actually, I did think about going for a complete library in the Wii U. I don't consider myself a collector anymore. The Dreamcast was really the last thing I collected for. And since really all I do is I get hardware I want that'll benefit the YouTube channel and the streams. But I did, you know, honestly, I kind of got the bug. I was like, man, I could go for a full Wii U set. That probably wouldn't be very difficult, considering a lot of games are being liquidated now. So... Okay, so what we're going to do is change our games. Again, this is a variety stream, so there's going to be a variety of games. Again, both good and bad, and a lot of these games I'm not even that familiar with anymore from a gameplay standpoint. Like, for instance, I've got Air Force Delta here. Haven't played that game in ages, man, so like, we're probably just going to fumble around with it for like 10 minutes and then play something else. And actually what I'll do is go back so you guys can see the dashboard for the Dreamcast. Let me check my memory cards as well. Okay, let's try some of these other memory cards. I've got multiple memory cards here. Okay, we're going to take that one out and see what's on this one. I love how easy it is to switch between memory cards and Dreamcast and figure out what you've got on them. It's one of the great things about Sega's OS here. Okay, so I don't actually... Oh, no, I do have Speed Devils. Okay, so we're going to actually swap the memory cards. So Speed Devils is in number 1. Yeah, so we're going to play some Speed Devils. Yeah, we'll just skip through that. You probably... Yeah. The Speed Devils is actually a pretty cool arcade-style racing game. It's a little bare bones in its like menu presentation and whatnot, but it is actually pretty cool. We actually went through all the courses on arcade mode a couple weeks ago, and I ended up really enjoying it. Like, I played it back in the day, but I didn't actually spend that much time with it. And I kind of wish I did now, actually, because it's a pretty cool game. So it's one of those arcade-style racers with, like, you know, some kind of sort of crazy environmental things. And you've also got nitro boosts and stuff like that. Was thinking about getting Vigilante 8. Yeah, so what I probably should have done is just played the arcade mode just to show you guys what the game's like. And if this is awful, we might end up actually just doing that. Because it looks like you just start with, you know, a default car. That's probably not very good. I'm just going to skip through that. Yeah, mid to late 90s, where that was the big time for arcade-style racers. I mean, I don't know. Like, I would say, I mean, they've always been a thing in arcades, honestly. I mean, you go back as far as games like Pole Position, and Sega had Turbo and the old Monaco GP and stuff like that. But then Outrun, you know, Hang On, Super Hang On, those are all big titles in the arcades, but There's a lot of fantastic stuff from the 90s. You know, obviously Daytona, Sega Rally, Ridge Racer, yada yada yada. The Midway games like Hydro Thunder. This is kind of a piece of crap they gave me, by the way. It's literally beat up. So we're basically playing the championship mode, so I guess you do races, you get money, you upgrade your car, you buy new vehicles, and things like that. That's right, there's also a handbrake you want to use for power sliding. You've also got nitros, which I don't actually have right now. This game does have shortcuts as well. Oh, what? He just slammed me into the rock. I'm not a fan of AI that does that. I feel naked without my nitro boosts. So I think what I'm going to do after this is just play, you know, pick a car and play arcade mode just so you guys can see some other courses and so you can kind of play the game how it's supposed to be played. But in championship mode, you eventually build your way up to having lots of nitro boosts and a better vehicle and whatnot. Yeah, I'm noticing like my handbrake's not working that well. Yeah, I'm not really into sports games because I don't watch sports. And so the only sports games I play are like arcade style sports games like Virtua Tennis. Oh, okay. Okay, let's just do arcade mode because this is kind of ridiculous. This that course was a little bit different than it is in arcade mode. But yeah, I don't play sports games, but NFL 2K was absolutely amazing looking when it came out. Like I was stunned by how good that game looked. Same with NBA 2K. I did not see NHL 2K in action back in the day, but NFL 2K and NBA 2K were just like honestly they were groundbreaking. All right, so what we're gonna do here is pick this dude. Stick with automatic, and we're gonna pick which course do I want? Unfortunately we don't have those later courses. Let's go to options, and so what we need to do is actually set it to a very specific kind of course. I'm gonna do just bright and sunny. Nitro on, checkpoints off, mirror off. Let's actually put mirror on. We can reverse the course. Actually, we'll do reverse and mirror. That's pretty cool. Hit done, and then hit race. You should fire up your Dreamcast. Hey, Talus, how's it going, man? Even if it's only for a few minutes, dude. It's good to see you, man. Hope your day's going well. I have NFL 2K here if you guys want to see it. Like, I mean, I really don't mind playing a sports game for, you know, a few minutes. If you guys think you'll get some entertainment out of it. Yeah, I feel so much better already. This car is way faster. Yeah, and I've got 18 nitro boosts. You use the B button to use those. Ooh, I didn't see that coming. Am I going the wrong way? I am. Oh, jeez, man. Oops. I'm surprised it didn't tell me I was going the wrong way. Yeah, so this course normally, like, you come down from... we're playing the reverse track. I really shouldn't be doing that. I should be playing the regular track. But yeah, for those of you guys that want like a decent arcade-style racer on Dreamcast, like Expendable it's a decent one, and it's really cheap. It's a really common game, so usually you'll find it for like $10. You know, that's like the retail going rate. You could probably get it cheaper if you've got, you know, thrift stores around you or flea markets or whatnot. You know, definitely a worthwhile game that adds to your collection if you like arcade racers. It controls well, you know, looks decent. I believe this was a launch title, so this is one of those many launch titles, and for a launch title, it still looks decent. I don't think it was as impressive as other games, but it was still pretty cool. What the hell, man? Why are they even letting me go this way? Where am I supposed to go? What is going on here? Yeah, obviously I'm going the wrong way. You let me drive into a freaking courtyard with no indication of where I'm supposed to go. This is probably a shortcut, you know, it's probably why they let me do that. You gotta be kidding me, man. What is this? Okay. Whoa. Well, of course, there's cones there, but of course they let you drive past it. I'm surprised they... Yeah, there's no car signs. Wow, so they actually let you come in here and get lost. I mean, that is kind of cool. Like, you don't usually see that in racers. Usually, like, it'll be blocked off and you won't be able to go and explore. So we pretty much just guaranteed lost the race. Oh, well. Oh, jeez. Where did you learn to drive? How are you doing, Wayne? I feel like some of the shortcuts might not even work, because they're meant to come from a single direction. Oops. Okay, let's go ahead and end the race. We'll pick another track and then we'll swap into a different game. Hello, Renrez from the United States. Yeah, so I found that I like this car the best. It seems to have, you know, the greatest balance. So we just did Canada Autumn. That was really Canada Autumn? Nevada is actually kind of fun. Let's not do reverse or mirror. And we'll just leave it... sunlight. We'll do nighttime this time. I'm kind of curious what this looks like at night. So you can, like in arcade mode, you can affect the weather, which I don't recommend doing unless you're playing on a CRT, because it's like almost impossible to see the race. Like if it's raining or foggy, like don't do it if you're going like through an upscaler or something. But you can change the time of day as well, from day to dusk to actual night. So we'll do night and see what happens. Hey, Miku! Welcome. Oh, this is gonna be interesting. This is super dark. I mean, that is kind of cool. I'm actually not used to racing games where you can barely see anything except for what's in your headlights. Like, I really can't see anything. So now you can also play in, I kind of don't want to risk it. Hold on, let's see. There we go. You can actually put it in like first-person mode. You got different third-person cameras. Pretty typical stuff from back then. I think we should actually go through the city as well. Yeah, here we go. San Francisco Rush 2049. I like that game a lot. I wish I had a copy right now. We would totally play that if I had a copy. You can actually come down here too. It's sort of like a shortcut. You got to boost, make a jump. There we go. Alright, well, I think that's that. So we'll go ahead and just whee! Back to the main menu. So, you know, what's cool about the Dreamcast, you can just pop the drive lid open, and it'll automatically just take you right back to the main dashboard. You can also do a soft reset by holding the 4 face buttons and pressing start. A lot of times what that'll do is it'll take you back to the title screen, so it'll soft reset to the title screen, but if you do it again from the title screen, it'll soft reset back to this Dreamcast dashboard here. So you could also do that on Saturn. It was something Sega did with some of their CD-based consoles. No, Miku, why would I be upset with you? it's freaking Thanksgiving. I mean, I wouldn't be upset with you anyway. I mean, I don't ever expect anybody to be here. I'm grateful for your, you know, your continued support, and I'm glad you guys enjoy the streams. And it's really awesome to see you guys, you know, some of you folks out there, you know, here on a regular basis. You know, it just makes me all misty-eyed. Talanaharis gets a cruising vibe from this. Yeah, definitely. So, all right. So we've got a couple of racers here, so I want to try to mix things up. Let's see. So what we'll do is we will play. I'm going to save this one for a little bit. Yeah, like I said, guys, this is a variety stream. We're just going to be bouncing from game to game. We're not going to be spending a whole lot of time on a, you know, any specific game, unless it's something short like Soul Calibur, where I can just finish it in one swoop. Okay, so that's my data for this. Good. So we're going to play Expendable. This is a very early release on the Dreamcast as well. I think it came out about a month after the Dreamcast was available. And yeah, I remember buying it. I want to say it was like October, either October or November 1999 is when I bought my copy back then. And it was one of the first sub $50 games on the system. It was 40 bucks when it came out. Most Dreamcast games were 50 until several months in. There were a couple of $30 games that eventually came out, like Soul Fighter and Wetrix Plus. But this is a pretty cool game. This is actually a I don't want to say like a port of the computer game by the same name, but because like it's got different levels and restructured levels and so forth, so it's not an exact conversion like port. But if you've played the computer version, it is very, very similar. Go ahead and just do a new game here. So this is a top-down shooter. You can use the D-pad or the analog stick to move around. use the A button to shoot. You can hold down the R trigger to strafe left and right. And yeah, this is a really cool game. It also came out on PS1. PS1's kind of choppy and kind of gaudy looking. The Dreamcast one, on the other hand, is pretty sweet. Definitely a difficult game as well. You can actually hold up to 3 weapons at once. You press the X button to switch around. This is your stock default weapon. Hey, Encrypted Printer, you haven't heard of this? Well, this is a cool one. This is definitely one to check out if you guys like arcade-style shooters. This is a Euro-developed game, and so it's got some Euro elements to it, where things like dying very, very quickly, almost instantly on certain types of things, which can be very brutal. But there are a lot of secrets and stuff like that. Can't really demonstrate any right now. You've also got hostages you can save. Not hostages, but sort of like, you know, NPCs you can pick up. You'll get extra points and things like that. Picking up the same weapon multiple times will upgrade it. Like that right there, that could have actually crushed me and killed me. This does actually have an auto-aim system as well. If an enemy is higher than you, your shots will kind of go towards the enemies, like an old-school FPS, like Doom or Quake or something like that. Hey, Larry G. Why is the Dreamcast hard to collect for, Miku? I think it's kind of the contrary. At least if you're willing to use, like, eBay. It's actually pretty easy to get games for the Dreamcast. So you can see how I've got a 5-way shot now. I think it even turns into an 8-way. So this shot's kind of interesting. You have to actually hold down the button, and when you hold down the button, it'll spread out into this massive spread shot. But the ammo never lasts very long, unfortunately. This is going to be another scripted sequence here. So you do have a you know, health in this game. It's actually denoted by your character's portrait. So your character's portrait will start turning into more of like a skull as your health gets low. You've also got grenades. You can hold down the B button and you can launch them. Like a little meter will pop up in the bottom left. And the farther it is, the farther along it is, the farther it will travel. Yeah, I really enjoyed this game back in the day, but I never finished it back then. It wasn't until 2009 that I actually... You know, I eventually reobtained another copy down the road and really buckled down and finished it. And it was pretty cool. It got really challenging towards the end. Will I be able to complete this game? Like, what do you mean, James? Like right now? If you mean right now, then no. I'll probably play a couple levels and then we'll swap over to something else. And it is possible I could do like a stream of this again later on and just do a dedicated stream and try to, you know, try to get through the game completely. That could be an option. I'd have to practice it off YouTube though. Like try to do a run on Twitch and see what happens. See, these rockets are actually homing rockets, so if enemies are higher up in the air, the rockets will actually home in on them, which is nice. You meant right now? No, this is a long game. This will take a few hours to get through, at the very least. And then, like, you'll die, you'll have to reload your save file, and it's, yeah, so, I mean, it takes at least a few hours to get through, if you don't die, but you will die, like, a lot. It does save your progress, though, which is nice, so, like, you don't have to play it in one sitting. Yeah, so again, this is like a variety stream. We're not like really gonna dedicate a ton of time to a single game unless it's like a really short game. So if it's something like Soul Calibur, I can run through it from start to finish. If it's really long like this, like we're not gonna be able to do that. But I'm totally down with trying to do a more dedicated stream on this game. Like, I'd love to do a Let's Play, but the game is just too long. But a dedicated live stream could definitely happen later on down the road. Definitely a game not many people seem to know a whole lot about, which is kind of a shame, because it is a really solid game on the system. Okay, so this is actually kind of a good time to use our grenades. Actually, we don't have any grenades. We ran out. My bad. Yeah, so some of these like turrets on the walls, your character won't actually aim towards him, so you need your grenades to take them out. My only, like, issue with this game, and it's not really an issue, it's just more like a minor gripe, is that it uses an old style of strafing, where it's just left and right strafing, and you have to hold down a button. I would have preferred to have, like, individual strafe keys, and then that would give me the option to, like, circle strafe. I think that would have been really nice. More like a twin-stick type of shooter, you know? So, you know, in this day and age, it might take a little while to get used to just the single strafe function. Basically, for those of you guys that are familiar with, like, Wolfenstein 3D style strafing, that's basically how this operates. We're actually almost done with this level, too. These first couple of levels aren't that long, fortunately. Some really nice visual effects in this game, too. You know, it's definitely a solid-looking game. But yeah, this was done by Rage. Rage, you know, a lot of their games in this era in particular were technically sound, like, technically impressive games. They had this. They had God, what was it called? It was called Incoming, which Incoming was like, eh. It's kind of like style over substance. Expendable, which was a much better balance of style and substance. But the whole point is their games were usually technically sound, visually impressive. Oops. And Expendable is definitely no exception. Yeah, you don't really ever have, like, slowdown in this game either. Like, so, I mean, so you've got, like, this spread shot. It's like an 8-way spread shot. And even with all, like, the projectiles on screen, it still never slows down. Alright, what do we got here? Sorry guys, I'll look at the chat when once we're finished with this level. We're almost there. This is almost at the end. Yeah. We're gonna skip that weapon. So weapons do have limited ammunition, except for your stock default weapon, which is, I don't want to say useless, but later on in the game, when you lose all your weapons because you died, and you're stuck with your stock weapon, it can be a little frustrating. Fortunately, there are tons of weapon drops in the game, so, you know, you won't be weaponless for long, but things can get overwhelming later on in the game. Let's go ahead and kill this turret. Bam, got it. Yeah, this level is actually a little bit longer than I recall. For some reason, I thought that the level was going to end a little bit earlier. So these things are a little confusing. You kind of have to get close to them, and they'll disappear. Sometimes they won't disappear. You have this game on the NVIDIA Shield Portable. Huh, interesting. And Boston Burf says, this looks like something he would enjoy. James says, this game looks pretty cool. Expendable is what you would call most launch titles. Really? Why do you feel that way? I feel like launch titles have a very specific kind of charm across a bunch of different systems. I mean, it really showcases like what, you know, that new hardware at the time was capable of. You know, not really capable of. I don't know. It's just kind of a special time in gaming, I feel, regardless of the system. Like, even the PS2, with its somewhat weak launch library, you go back and play some of those launch titles, you're like, man, these are actually pretty cool, you know? Imagine getting these on day one. And then you had some systems, like the Dreamcast, which had awesome launch titles. There really weren't any duds to speak of. And then you had just lots of super high quality releases that were highly memorable, even till, you know, well after the system was off the market. You know, Soul Calibur, House of the Dead 2, stuff like that. Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll finish up this level and then we'll swap over to a different game. This is where we need to use our homing missiles. You can also use your grenades if you have some. It's tough to hit those guys with the grenades, though. I don't think Zelda was, released on the SNES till like 92, right? I don't think it was a launch title. Or was it 91? I don't think it was... I don't think Link to the Past was a launch window title. Nice, James. But yeah, Super Nintendo is a great example of a library, like a launch lineup that's just really fantastic. Yeah, for some people there's the actual launch itself, and then they look at just the launch window of games. And the Super Nintendo's launch window is specifically really a phenomenal lineup. I mean, Super Mario World, Super Castlevania 4, Gradius 3, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Super R-Type, Pilot Wings. It was just some really amazing stuff. See, now I'm not even really paying attention. I also need to use the restroom. Because I consumed quite a bit of water at my parents' house when for Thanksgiving. And then when I came home, not just water, I had a couple of diet sodas as well. But when I came home, I also pounded down the usual Monster drink. Sugar-free Monster drink for the stream. So now nature calls. I don't think I can go through there. ActRaiser, yep. So when it comes to your aiming in this game, you really have a little more flexibility using the analog stick. A lot of times I just use the D-pad, but if my thumbs start to hurt from using the D-pad because if it's just simple 8-way movement, what I'll do is I'll switch over to the analog stick, and that's what I've just done right now. So with the analog stick, you can, like, you know, wiggle your fire back and forth a little bit more. See? It actually does support analog controls. It doesn't force you into 8-way movement, even though you're using the analog stick, so... But if you use the D-pad, you are forced to 8-way movement. There's no, like, faux analog controls like you've got with, like, Gauntlet Legends or something like that. Actually, Gauntlet Legends, I think you might actually have to use the analog stick in that version. We're gonna do a dedicated Gauntlet Legends stream sometime, by the way. Sometime soon. I did pick up Gauntlet Legends on Dreamcast, so... We're not going to play that tonight, but we are going to do a dedicated stream on it sometime in the near future. Alright, we hopefully are close to the boss fight. Oh, you always hated the controller. What? I'm glad that I'm not one of those people that didn't like the controller, because I really have very few issues with it. Yeah, I mean, I never really had an issue with the Dreamcast controller. The only thing is, like, in hindsight, I kind of wish it had a second analog controller, or analog stick. That way, first-person shooters could have had dual-stick controls, and the FPSs would hold up a lot better. Yeah, I've always found the Dreamcast controller very comfortable, and, you know, it's light, it's not heavy. Honestly, it was one of, like, the last, like, truly, like, kind of, like, light controllers out there. Granted, you put a couple memory cards into it, or a rumble pack, and the weight increases. Yeah, I've always enjoyed the Dreamcast controller. Yeah, fortunately for people that don't like the Dreamcast controller, there do exist PS1 controller adapters for it. The quality of them is kind of questionable. I guess it just depends on the manufacturer. But it is an option. Yeah, so this is the boss fight, by the way, if it wasn't obvious enough. Oops, we died. There we go. Well, the controller cable on the wrong side is, like, really a moot point, because there's a notch up at the top of the controller. You're supposed to wrap the cable around from the bottom to the top and plug it into the notch, so the controller cord still comes out from the top when you do that. So, you know, people that... You know, I was actually thinking about that earlier. I was looking at the controller and remembering how the cord came up from the bottom, and just remembering how people complained about that, but I always have the cable notched at the top, and that's how I'm playing right now. It just wraps around behind the memory card slot. So, I think it was a necessary design decision, because the memory cards were on the top of the controller. There was no place for the cable to come out from, so But they had the foresight to include the notch, so you could still wrap the controller cord around and it would still come out from the top. So, yeah, being able to see the VMU screen was really cool. It's just definitely a very novel function. Mundo Gameplay, hello? Hey, Sal! What's going on, dude? Alright, well that's gonna do it for Expendable. Really cool game that, if you haven't tried it, I highly recommend checking it out. It is 2 players at the same time as well, which is really nice, so... I don't know. Is it too short? I don't know. I never had an issue with the length. But I mean, if a controller is short, then just buy an extension cable. I mean, these are all like kind of like moot complaints at the end of the day. The N64 controller is like really the same way. It's fairly short, but buy an extension cable. They're a few bucks. So yeah. It's still, yeah, this is a good, you know, you lose about 5 inches, 4 to 5 inches wrapping the cord up, but it's still 6 to 7 feet. You know, in this day and age of SNES Classic or NES Classic controller lengths, 6 or 7 feet is actually kind of nice. Actually, I think come to think of it, I think the controller length might even be similar to an NES controller. Oh, let's see. Let's test that theory. Yeah, it's really, yeah. It's not that bad, guys. Yeah, the NES controller is like an extra foot. I just pulled it out and put them side by side. No, it isn't as long as PS2, no. But do you judge all your gameplay experiences by the controller length? But, Austin, you say, size matters. Alright, so I'm gonna jump into this game, and I'm gonna go use the restroom, and so I will be right back. All right. So this was a pretty popular game on the Dreamcast for a while there. And this is a puzzle game. With a focus on multiplayer gameplay. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna play the puzzle mode. I don't even know if I have any save data. Probably not. I didn't actually play this one much back in the day. I owned it. I played it for a little bit. But puzzle games like these have never really been my forte. So you can do stage challenge or puzzle. Which one do I want to do? You can edit your own puzzles, which is pretty cool. This was actually one of the first games that actually had online connectivity for the Dreamcast. And this was before Sega Net was a thing. This was, yeah, well before Sega Net. So, pretty cool. Yes, Miku, this is Chu Chu Rocket. So we'll do puzzle first. Yeah, so you can try to go through all the puzzles. Looks like there are... Oops. Cancel! We can't download anymore, although... Oh, it looks like normal is just it. So we'll go ahead and... Actually, let's go back out. Let's go stage challenge. Play this online way back. Very nice, man. Alright, so we'll start the lower ones. Alright, I just gotta remember how to play this damn game. So, you basically use the face buttons, and, you know, you can, you know, Y is up, A is down, X is left, B is right. And that is basically it, actually. And the guide, or the idea, is to just guide the mice to safety. And have them not die. There we go. Unfortunately, I'm noticing like some nasty, like... nasty effects due to the interlaced the 480i resolution. So it's definitely you know, a lot of this Dreamcast stuff, like, you really want to try to play it on CRTs if you can. That's the way to go. Like, when I actually have this fired up on my PVM next to me right now, and it just looks amazing. Like, you don't see like the gaudy flickering with, like, you know, just, I don't even know what the term is for it, but like when an enemy blinks or something like that, or an object blinks, like, it just looks like it has a bunch of lines through it. It's not very satisfying. Now we gotta avoid the cat. Oh, the cat's gotta, that's right. They just put the cat in there, just like that. So it looks like the arrows can only be hit a certain amount of times by the enemies. And then you have to place a new arrow. Woo! He just mowed through all those guys. Oh, I guess we're supposed to just have them avoid the cat for a certain period of time. Oh! As you can see, I'm terrible at games like these. They're not games I play very frequently. Let me try it again. Oh, the goal is to feed the cat. Okay. See, I should probably read the descriptions. Let's go ahead and put these guys back. And what we'll do is feed these guys down like that. Look at that. Collect 100 mice within 30 seconds. That should do it. Oh wait, didn't it say 100 mice? No, we're yeah, it's 100 mice. Yeah, I was like, wait, it's only 30. No, getting a little dyslexic here. Well, that's gonna do it. Ooh, no! Oh no, that did it. Okay, cool. Mousetrap on the 2600. God, I know I've played Mousetrap. I don't remember what it's like though. Nice. So looks like we got that. So that was an sort of like an example of versus mode. Get mice. Lead all mice to the goal within 30 seconds. Are we gonna do it? Oh, very nice. Ixie? Yep, Sega Dreamcast. Avoid the cat and get to the goal. Oops. Oops. Avoid the cat and get to the goal. Run away. How do I want to do this? Oh, that's not good. Oh, well, you have to avoid the cats completely. I think what I want to do is get all these guys into one cube. I think that might do it. Oh, jeez. Wow. I have no idea. Oops. You just bought Sonic Mania. Very nice. I wanna... Apparently that's gonna be a physical release on Switch. I heard. So what I want to do is actually pick that up on Switch once it's available. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. Oh, I know what I'm an idiot. I know exactly what I can do. Okay, I know how I'm going to do this. See, it definitely requires planning. See, kind of like this. And now what I'm going to do is feed these guys. No, 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 other way. Oh god, no, not this way. Where are you going, man? Oh, so close. So that's the right idea. Yeah, I avoided Sonic Mania just because it was digital only. I don't pay more than like $10 or $15 for digital games. Anything that's like 20 bucks and up. Unless it's like a very niche, like shoot 'em up release. You know, I won't pay that for a digital game because I'll never get that money back. That's money that's gone to me. I can't trade it in. You know, I can't trade it with a friend. So if I'm gonna buy something that's permanent in my library and I can't do anything about it, especially on a Nintendo platform too, like I know I could buy it on Steam or PS4, Xbox One, but if I wanted to do it on Switch, I especially don't want to give my money to Nintendo because, you know, when the Switch is dead years down the road, I won't be able to transfer those games to their next generation of hardware, most likely. I have a little more faith in Microsoft in that regard, but yeah, so if at all possible, I like to buy physical for a variety of reasons, especially if the physical price is going to be about the same as the digital. It's just win-win for me, personally, so... Alright, I need to hurry up here. No! We will get this, guys. It's gonna happen. Oops. Oh, no, I'm doing the wrong thing. Crap, we're not gonna get this one. I'm too slow. Alright, let's just kill these things. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to playing Sonic Mania, though. Like, I've watched a bunch of videos on it, and I've heard a lot of great things about it. Okay, that's gonna do it. There we go. Success. Look at that. Lunchtime. Feed the cat. Hey, other way. No, no, no. Other way. Thank you. Collect 100 mice in 30 seconds. I have no idea what I am doing here. Okay, so we obviously need to put them in the opposite direction. I'm lost. Levels like this are just confusing. Okay, I think this is gonna do it for Chu Chu Rocket. But yeah, so I mean that's fun. If you want to play single player, there's a whole bunch of different modes you can play, and then you've got, you know, multiplayer battle as well. We'll do none. And we'll start game. No, Pop. They are not, as far as I'm aware. They're gonna have, you know, obviously their service, but transferring of games is still gonna be like it is now, from what I understand. If you want to transfer games, you're gonna need the console that you're gonna transfer the games to. That is my understanding. So, yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath for for Nintendo allowing you to do that. Transfer or have all your games linked to an account and not a console. I mean, technically now you've got your Nintendo account, and technically all your games, or I should say, your purchases are stored there. But as far as restoring the games, it still has to be on the console they were purchased on. It just makes no sense right now, and I don't think they're going to change it. So, at least I'm not going to get my hopes up. So, okay. So I actually wasn't paying attention here. So what we're going to do is actually redo that. So what you need to do is mice just constantly feed out, and you want to try to feed them to your Your goal. Ooh, very nice. Yeah, this is kind of like a party game, basically. So there's a randomizer where, you know, different things happen. You can try to troll your opponents. Slow down. We're gonna move that cat back out. Mouse Mania again. So I'm the blue one down here in the bottom right. So it looks like I am not winning, but I'm doing okay. Oh jeez, Cat Mania. No thanks. I think this would have been really fun online back in the day. I kind of wish I played it online back then. I am doing better than green and red, actually, which is nice. Mouse Monopoly? What? Oh, that's garbage. All right, get over here, cat. Bam. Everyone wants yellow to die. And we are going to make yellow suffer. Oh jeez, no! I just lost 100. Oh man, these cats. Oh geez, now we need to get Red out of here. Come on, Red. Go away. Totally trolling the AI. That's great. Alright, this match is almost over. And that's it. Looks like I won. Yeah, why are you skipping the Switch? I mean, it seems of all their modern systems seems like to be the one to go for. So we're gonna go ahead and quit. That was fun. So we're gonna swap out to a different game. Let's just open up that drive door, go right back to the main menu. I got a really good deal on a bunch of sealed Dreamcast games last week for a really, really good price. And like, I'm talking like less than the going rate for used prices, but brand new sealed. And Chu Chu Rocket was one of them, so I'm looking at it, it's just super minty. So clean. Thank you, James. This is one of those games that is not a great game at all. It's one of those that often gets bashed, but it is a playable game. It can be fun, so I'll just show off the first level of it. But yeah, the Nintendo Switch, like, I'll be honest with you, I've had mine since, I think, April, you know, about a month after it came out, and I haven't been the most thrilled with it. Not really the most thrilled, I just haven't been the most motivated to really put a lot of time into it, you know, aside from that first month I owned it. But I mean, it's a great system with already a great library, and you know, it's gonna have a killer library eventually. I mean, the library is very strong right now. Great balance of indie and mainstream games, and obviously those Nintendo AAA titles. But yeah, I mean, it's just the portable mode alone is just fantastic. But so yeah, I mean, like, well, I haven't played it much. I see the value in it, and I see why it's popular, and you know, if anyone hasn't really bothered to look into it, but likes Nintendo games, I mean, if you've liked any previous Nintendo platform, you should probably check it out. It's great so far. Yeah, so this is Soul Fighter. It's a beat 'em up for the Dreamcast. Unfortunately, it's got a bunch of downsides to it. There's no two-player mode, and the setup of the game is a little wonky in terms of how you have to progress through the stages and whatnot. We'll try to play as this chick. I mean, I have no doubt, Pop, that it'll eventually have a killer app for you. So, I wouldn't write it off completely just because of that. I can see why it probably wasn't that interesting for some people in the beginning, because, like, you know, for me, I already had a Wii U, and I bought Breath of the Wild on the Wii U. So that was already one game on the Switch that I didn't really need. And then you had Mario Kart 8. I already had it on the Wii U. Didn't really need it. And stuff like that. But now games are really starting to trickle out that are, like, really high quality. Like, Mario Odyssey is apparently amazing. Sorry, I was looking at chat there. So let's see. Yeah, use the L trigger to reset the camera behind you. You got... Not a fan of indies. Why aren't you a fan of indies? Do you not like video games, Pop? I mean, that's probably the better question. Do you just not like video games? Like, Nicholas alone just has, or Nicalis, they just have a lot of great titles on this system. And they're cheap. Like, it's win-win. I probably should have played as, actually the fighter, because I'm more used to him. Yeah, so one of the big problems with this game is, like, it's super slippery. Like, your characters are constantly sliding if you're using the analog stick in particular. So, it takes a lot of time to get used to. But you'll notice that, like, the frame rate is really smooth in this game. You've been gaming since the Atari 2600. It sounds like you're just trying to, like, excuse your way out of, you know, being interested of it. And, you know, I'd say just not even think about it and, you know, for a while. And maybe a couple years down the road, something will stick out to you. But I will say the whole not being interested in indie thing is kind of surprising to me. I mean, I don't know if you just haven't like looked into some of those games, but I mean, if you like old school games, which I assume you do, I mean, you're watching this channel. I barely do anything that's modern, so I mean, you kind of owe it to yourself to check out some of those indie titles. Alright, so the gimmick in Soul Fighter is that you have to collect a certain amount of souls, which is basically just enemies. You kill enemies, you get souls, and you need the required amount of souls in order to get to the boss fight, and then thus progress onto your next stage. I'm not a fan of this mechanic. I'd prefer more direct, like, intentionally designed stages, where you just kill enemies without having some kind of numerical requirements. I think it's just, it kind of kills the flow of the game. The game's not as tight as previous beat-em-ups as a result. And the game is kind of glitchy too. Like, you'll have enemies just not spawn in, or you'll have to run past like a very specific area to get an enemy to trigger. And so you'll get to the end, you'll be hoping that the boss appears, but they won't appear because you'll still need 1 or 2 souls, and you'll have to run all the way around through the level again, trying to find them, trying to get them to appear. But you have a time limit. That's the problem, is you've got a time limit. It would be one thing if there was no time limit. You got limited continues. Now I think the adventure mode, I think it does away with the... Does it do away with the time limit? It might do away with the time limit, but I don't think you get any continues on adventure mode. It's really dumb. And you get really limited amounts of continues as well on arcade mode. I'd have to really spend some time with this game again to really get my thoughts together on it again. I actually spent a lot of time with it. Well, first I spent a lot of time with it back in the day, because I bought it when it came out on Dreamcast. It was, again, one of those first, like, $30 games. So even though I got really bad reviews back in the day, I did actually play it a lot, and I enjoyed it, but about 6 years ago, I tried to really put some more time into it, and really tried hard to try to learn how to beat the game. Because I only got a couple levels in back in the day, and I really wanted to see if I could actually finish the game. And when you try to learn a game inside and out, you know, to a point where you can actually finish it, all of its like major flaws start to rear their ugly heads, unfortunately. And so I would have to spend a lot more time with it to really get my thoughts together on it concisely. So now you've also got, let's see, how do I do it? Yeah, both punch and kick together when your power meter is flashing. We'll do a special attack, which is very, very powerful. Picking up items is really odd too. I wish that you could just like walk across them, but you can't. You have to press down and A to pick them up, which isn't really all that convenient when you've got enemies around you trying to kill you and whatnot. You've also got a weapon you can pull out. I have to try to remember how to do that. Yeah, there we go. So, to pull out your weapon, you press up in A, which is really kind of dumb. What it should have just been is like press the R button or something like that. But the problem is that the R button is actually used for a first-person mode, and you can actually use these items that you pick up on the playfield to like snipe enemies from a distance. So like if I hold down the R button here, you can move it around. It's really just a gimmick. It doesn't really have much of a use because you don't get many of these items in the game. I'm gonna go back this way. There might be some other enemies to kill. There's actually gonna be a boulder that falls down here too. We might get hit by it. Yeah. Yeah, there it goes. I hear it. So there's a map on the bottom right-hand portion of the screen as well, and you can actually see where some of the other enemies are. This is kind of what I was talking about. Like, the levels aren't, like, super well-designed. Like, they're cool to look at, but, like, this first level alone is, like, you've got 2 routes you can go. It ends up wrapping around. But again, you've got to get a certain amount of souls, which means you have to kill all the enemies, basically. And you've got a timer, and that's just not good design for... I really think the whole soul system was pointless, really. They really should have just taken the soul system out, had more straightforward linear design in the stages, and just made a really solid, you know, classic-style beat-em-up, but in 3D. Maybe zoom the camera out, make it 2 players at the same time. And I think the game would have been a lot more enjoyable as a result. Even with, like, the slippery controls, you know, you can get used to that. But, like, the sort of open stage design, and these levels get really big, too, like, frustratingly large later on in the game. And combined with the required souls and the limited amount of time, it can get super frustrating later on trying to actually beat these stages. Okay, so the only thing back there is another treasure chest, so we're gonna go ahead, work our way towards the end again. We got 10 more enemies to kill. Why do the graphics look so clean? I am using an upscaler, yeah, but I'm also I'm using RGB out from the Dreamcast. So that's, you know, that's the best, non-VGA signal you can get from the Dreamcast, so I think that helps. And the upscaler, is helping a little bit. It really looks kind of terrible on my flat screen panel here. But on a CRT, it still looks amazing. I actually have it routed into my PVM through RGB. That goes into my upscaler. So I can actually preview it on my PVM as well as my HD display. But yeah, I use an upscaler for everything here in this channel. That's how... I mean, I can't capture without going through a device that allows the games to be played through HDMI. I have an HDMI-only capture card now. And yeah, so I need a device that'll allow me to get HDMI out of these old consoles. But I needed something that was high quality too, so I ended up going with the FrameMeister, which is really expensive, but it has been totally worth it for the streams and, you know, my Let's Plays, my Let's Play footage. I wish there was like a roll function in this game. It would be so nice. I would think it would make the game infinitely more playable, because you can get ganged up pretty quickly, but again, like, you slide all over the place. Using your weapons definitely helps. Definitely want to take advantage of that. This is what I'm talking about. This is where like a dodge roll would be nice. You get ganged up on enemies. Ganged up by enemies. Fortunately, a lot of these enemies, they do drop health and things like that. And your weapon meter actually recharges as well, which is nice. So you really do want to use your weapon meter as much as you can. I do actually have Record of Lotus War. I thought about playing it for a little bit, but I feel like that would just kind of slow things down. So what we're gonna do is actually do a dedicated stream of that game sometime in the future. I want to do Record of Lotus War, and I want to do Gauntlet Legends. I have both in my collection, actually. And we're dead. And we're not going to continue. So, you know, one thing I always mention about the Dreamcast is that even a lot of its, like, really mediocre games are still kind of fun to play. And Soul Fighter is often referred to as one of the worst games on the Dreamcast in North America. And, you know, it's a good example of, like, wow, even the bad games are still fun to play. So that's it. That's Soul Fighter. I do still have fun with it, and it is always a super cheap game. It's like $5 to $10 for a copy of the game. It's not expensive. So we're going to do another arcade-style racer. This is one by Midway that I think probably not that many people have played. It's not really uncommon on the Dreamcast, but you don't ever hear people, you know, mention it or anything. Usually the Midway racers that get a lot of, you know, talk on the Dreamcast are Hydro Thunder and San Francisco Rush 2049. And so what we're going to play here is actually Four Wheel Thunder, which is kind of an offshoot of the Off-Road Thunder games by Midway in the arcade. And this is actually a console-only game. This was not an arcade game, but it is very much like San Francisco Rush 2049. You know, similar kind of gameplay. But, you know, I'd say the visual style is less arcadey. It's a little more realistic, but it's all about nitro boosts and power sliding and stuff like that. So how long the Soul game is to beat? Yeah, good luck ever beating it, Cat. So I've probably clocked dozens and dozens and dozens of hours into that game over the years, and I've never beaten it. And I've tried, too. I've really, really tried. It's, again, like I said, that's where some of, like, the bad design choices rear their ugly heads. And what's sad about it is, like, it's a decent engine. It runs at a great frame rate. And you wish there was two-player mode. You wish there was no soul system. You wish you had, like, unlimited continues. And things like that. There are some cool levels later on in the game. I mean, there are these you know, there's this area where it's like these axes on rods just like swinging back and forth that you have to avoid. It's kind of cool. Alright, so we'll go ahead and skip that.
Four-wheel thunder!
Actually, let me see what the handbrake is. Yeah, gear up. Handbrake is B. Okay. Yeah, handbrake is pretty important in this game for like the power sliding and whatnot. Alright, turn that up a little bit. Alright, we'll just do arcade. Championship I was trying to do a few weeks ago on stream, and it was kind of tough. I mean, arcade's gonna be tough too, but I'm gonna do arcade outdoor. You can't access to have completed the first series. We'll just do series 1. And welcome Noah. We're doing Dreamcast games, just random stuff. And let's just try to get one that's somewhat balanced. That's fairly balanced. And there we go. Yeah, so we're 2 hours in. We'll probably do another, I don't know, we'll probably do another hour-ish, maybe a little bit more. Then I'm going to stop the stream, then I'm going to go live on Twitch just for some other random stuff. I'm not sure what I'm going to stream yet. We might do some NES through the AVS. I have to think about it. Oh, nice, Cat. Well, I hope you enjoyed the game. That last boss takes practice. I had to practice that like for 2 nights.
3, 2, 1, go, go, go!
And we're actually gonna go first person. Okay, no, we can't go I thought you could go first person. So it's a lot like Hydro Thunder. It's Nitro Boost oriented. And the Nitro Boosts give you a certain amount of seconds worth of boosting. So you can see how fast the game is, too. It's actually faster now than it is in Championship mode, because I guess you're maxed out. In Championship, I think you get money, you can buy stuff. Yeah, one of the beautiful things about this game is that it's 60 frames a second most of the time. And so it's just, it really holds up well. So it's very easy to go back to and get into. Oops. Ah, that's right. That's how you can do it. Here, we'll actually go back to third person for you guys, because I know it might make some of you nauseous. We'll do a closer up one, though. Oh, come on, really? Yeah, this is four-wheel thunder. Oh, wrong way. Oops. Oh, geez, man. We're still not doing very good. We're in 7th out of 12. So this is, you know, like a lot of Midway Arcade Racers, this is a really tough game. And again, this wasn't released in the arcade, but it still has that arcade difficulty where the AI is just very, very difficult. You know, so in a lot of racers, like, you'll just, like, sleepwalk your way through the first few courses, but with Midway Arcade Racers, it doesn't usually work like that. You usually have to really know the game in order to succeed. This is really a great-looking game, too. Like, I'm kind of, like, analyzing the graphics as I'm playing. I'm like, man, like, they did a really good, like, convincing job with the visuals. Like, that canyon looks like it's really far in the distance, and it looks convincing, even though it's probably just a 2D image. Like, that's really nice. It's one of the fun things about going back to these old games, old 3D games in particular, is, you know, really seeing how well some of these hold up. Admiring the effort that was put in to make things look believable. Okay, well, we're not going to see the second track, so let's see if, we'll see if we can, do a practice run on a different course. Can I come, says Miku. Was that, can you come over to Twitch? If that was so, then absolutely. Alright, we'll go ahead and just do this one. Game over! Yeah! Now I want to play some Daytona. I wish I had Daytona on Dreamcast. Oh, jeez. So it looks like you can use your handbrake and boost at the same time. Time is up. Oops. Too bad you don't have a Twitter account. Why is that too bad, James? Are you desperate for Twitter? I mean, you could always start a Twitter account if you want one. Okay, cool. We'll see you next stream, hopefully. No, you can't follow me there. That's okay, man. You know where to find me. You're on Patreon. You're on YouTube. You might even have me on Facebook. I think you got me on Facebook. So, but yeah, I started actively using my Twitter more often with my for my gameplay and talk stuff. So for anyone that prefers Twitter for social media nonsense, then I think I've got the Twitter link in the my description box. I think I usually have it there. I don't remember. I'll have to double check. Yeah, so for anyone that is interested in that, I do have that going. So I am still in 3rd place out of 4th. This is how brutal like the AI is in this game, man. It's like, it's not easy at all. Second. Oh, and I lose. Second's not good enough. Hey, Jules. Yeah, so that's Four Wheel Thunder. We played a couple races on that, so you guys have a good idea of what it's like. It's a brutal game, man. It's not easy, but it is fun. So if you like those Midway arcade-style racers, then it's definitely one to check out. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to use the old Cheats and Codes disc because it operates as a boot disc. And we're going to play Air Force Delta for a few minutes. And I actually have the Japanese version of the game. So the Dreamcast is region locked. So if you want to play imports, you'll need a boot disc of some kind. And a Game Shark will work. There's also this Cheats and Codes disc, Volume 1, which is really cheap to acquire. You can still get brand new copies for like 10 bucks. And that'll allow you, it'll basically act as like a bypass for the region lock. Yeah, I agree, Boss and Burf. Twitter is much more reliable. Like, you'll actually see the posts when people post it on Twitter. On Facebook, it's like algorithm driven, and it's just like, even if you follow a page, like Facebook decides whether you see it or not. It's dumb. So yeah, this is the Cheats and Codes disc, and you know, the cool thing about this is that it also operates as, you know, a cheat disc. Granted, this is not a full-blown Game Shark, so you know, the support of the cheats is limited. It's only got, you know, certain games covered here, but Power Stone 2, Rayman 2, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Fur Fighters, Dead or Alive 2, Sonic Adventure, Rush 2049, and a couple of others. So, but what we're going to do now is open up the disk drive, put the cheats and codes disk away, and then pop in Air Force Delta. Yeah, Twitter's a little more casual for me as well. I find it just easier to go in, post a few lines, or post a photo, and just, I don't know, it's a little more concise. With Facebook's always trying to push ads on me, like, where they're trying to get me to pay up to, like, promote my stuff. And there's just so much, it's just so busy on the website, you know. His Twitter is just log in, very nice and concise. It's much easier to follow people you like there. So this might be completely in Japanese. I kind of wish I bought the North American copy, but the Japanese one was like half the price. So we'll just kind of see what's going on here. And this is also kind of like a sim game. It's not very like pick up and play. So I'm probably gonna get wrecked here. But this was one. What I like about Air Force Delta is that it was an impressive looking game when it came out. It was very nice looking. James, Andy's work schedule changed, so he can no longer catch a Thursday stream. So that is why Andy's not here. So I don't know if you'll be watching the archive, but if you are watching the archive, Andy, feel free to say hello in the comment section. Yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to really do anything. I should have just bought the North American copy. I had a feeling this was going to be completely in Japanese. Yeah. Damn it, man. That's okay. It was like $5, you know, so I can't complain that much. So... I mean, they still give me an idea what to do thanks to that visualization, so we might still, you know, make do here. Yeah, you can kind of see how, like, you know, I don't know, like you know, like the zoom in and the arrows telling you where to go and stuff like that. Like back in 1999, this was that was really cool. Yeah, we'll go ahead and pick that. Yeah, what I'll probably end up doing is selling this copy and just buying the North American version. It's like a $10 or $11 game. So yeah, it's a flight game, as you can see. You've got missiles and you've got your machine gun, and as you get close, you'll lock on. And did it lock on? Okay, yeah, it's locked on. And you've also got that's cool. You can bring up a map that kind of tells you where you should be going. That's neat. Yeah, I'm actually not that big into, like, flight sim games, but I did play a couple back in the day, just for a little bit. Air Force Delta was one of them that I spent some time with. But yeah, it's a genre that I never really got into very hard. It's also possible to go third person, and it's not letting me right now. There we go. Yeah, I really like that you can bring the map up too in the bottom left. That's nice. Actually, it's telling me to go this way. There must be someone else. Yeah, you can see on the radar there's someone else to the right. And this is one of the other things I don't like about flight sim games. It's like you end up just like moving around in circles, and I'm probably just not doing something right. Like there might be like more advanced maneuvers you can do or something, but whenever I play a flight sim game, it's just I end up doing the same thing over and over again, just holding right, holding left, and it's just not that engaging to me. Now maybe it would be different if I was actually in a plane, you know, and up in the air, and you know, I'm sure that's a lot of the experience when you're actually flying something like this. Not that you'd be shooting down people in real life, unless you're in the military, and even then, that probably happens very rarely. But when I'm playing these flight games and, you know, in video game form, it's just, they're not usually that engaging to me, but I have a soft spot for Air Force Delta because it was very impressive when it came out. It sounds like someone's locked onto me. Yep. Original Xbox backwards compatibility works for all Xbox One platforms. Yeah, nothing's exclusive to Xbox One X. Unless you want 4K. 4K gaming. The Xbox One S will do 4K Blu-rays. And HDR. Yeah, an original backwards compatibility for OG Xbox titles was made available a few weeks ago for all Xbox One models. And it's really cool, apparently. You can play Ninja Gaiden Black, 60 frames a second, upscaled to 1080p, widescreen. Yeah, I need to try it out. I've got a bunch of the games on the list. Ixay, no. You probably haven't been paying attention to it. They've been on a hard backwards compatible kick over the last couple of years. So a couple of years ago, they announced 360 backwards compatibility. And I've got most of my 360 live arcade games on my Xbox One now, thanks to backwards compatibility. And they announced at E3 original Xbox backwards compatibility, and they just released the first 13 games a few weeks ago. The aftermarket games are expensive on Dreamcast, Alan. Yeah, they usually have low print runs, and once they're out of print, like the price goes up. It's limited, Cat. Like there's specific games that are compatible. Yeah, there's no like. No, they didn't just like flip a switch and like all your Xbox or Xbox 360 library will work. They have to bring. I don't know. There's a lot of articles you can read online about it. It's not as simple as just, you know, flipping the switch on an emulator. With 360, well, even OG Xbox as well, I mean, there's licensing issues they have to deal with. And how they handle it is, even if you have the original disc, you still have to download the game from Microsoft servers, the backwards compatible version of the game. And you'll basically use your physical disc as the key for that. So they still have to work out licensing agreements with third-party publishers, you know, since they're going to distribute, you know, that game code to you, which they don't really have the right to do without getting permission from the original publishers. So it's a little more complex than built-in backwards compatibility with like PS2, you know, or something like that. Okay, that's enough of that. But yeah, I still think it's really awesome that Microsoft is really pushing backwards compatibility, because that's, you know, they say it's not an important aspect of a game console. I find it very important for myself personally. I don't use a PS1 anymore. I use a PS2, and I play my PS1 games on that. I really only use my GameCube when I'm playing Game Boy Advance games. Otherwise, I'll play GameCube games on my Wii. And even Wii games, if I'm out in the main room, I play them on the Wii U. Like, backwards compatibility is very important for me. And now I'm playing lots of 360 games on my Xbox One. And what's even cooler about the backwards compatibility for Xbox One is that if you have an Xbox One X, those old games will be enhanced even further. So it's been documented that and demonstrated that frame rates will improve. So like Bayonetta, for instance, is like the mid 50s, mid 50 frames per second on the Xbox 360, maybe even lower sometimes. It's a perfect 60 across the board played on the Xbox One X. And it's upscaled to 4K. Is it 4K or is it just 1080p? I don't remember. But there's some really nice enhancements that the system will just do by default, which is awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate that Microsoft is focusing on backwards compatibility, because like I said, like I find it very valuable for myself personally. I use my Xbox One just as much for 360 games as I do Xbox One games, and I've basically been able to disconnect my 360 from my main entertainment center as a result. It also just kind of makes me feel better about, like, kind of gives me that warm and fuzzy feeling that my digital purchases won't be going away anytime soon. Whereas with, like, Nintendo stuff, I have to worry about that. Like, what happens if my Wii U dies? Well, I'm not getting any of that stuff back, most likely, without having to yell down Nintendo's throat over the phone, which, who wants to do that? Am I planning on buying an Xbox One X? I am not, just because I don't have the money. I would love to, but it's just not doable for me right now. I already have an Xbox One, but what's going to happen for me is I'd like to buy a PS4 Pro, and that'll probably be my next modern gaming purchase. I mean, trust me, if I had the cash, I would upgrade to an Xbox One X right now, because the performance boost in games across the board is really, really appealing to me. I'm a stickler for frame rates and stuff like that, and even with like old 360 backwards compatible games getting a boost, the games have to be patched for one to get like that 4K boost, from what I understand, but there's a lot of games that'll take advantage of the hardware in the Xbox One X, and you'll get frame rate boosts automatically, no patch involved. And I think that's really awesome. And honestly, it'll be the ideal way to play a lot of 360 games, because a lot of 360 games have frame rate problems. Either they're sub 30 frames a second, or they're sub 60 frames a second. And, you know, it's been shown that lots of unpatched games will still, you know, see a performance boost played on an Xbox One X. And I'm talking 360 backwards compatibility. It's really cool. The Digital Foundry has done a bunch of videos on it, so you can kind of see it in action. And you never would have guessed that, you know, years ago, that you'd eventually be able to take your 360 titles, run them on your, you know, a future Microsoft console, and they'll perform better out of the box. Like, that's just mind-blowing. It's awesome. I mean, you had kind of a similar thing going on with PS2 PS1 backwards compatibility. Remember the you know, the fast load speeds you could enable, and like the filtered texture options? That was kind of neat. But what they're doing with 360 backwards compatibility with the Xbox One X, I think, is even better, because you'll get like real performance boosts, which is awesome. Let's go ahead and crash and switch games. Hey, Ronnie. Have I been practicing up on Dark Souls? No, I have not. I don't plan on playing Dark Souls again for a while. It kind of made me rage on the last Thursday stream. Oh, I do not plan on playing Dark Souls for a little while, and I think I'm gonna put Demon Souls on hold for a little while too. I wanted to play that soon, but it's not gonna happen right now. So, oh well, I've got a lot of retro games to play anyway. So we're going to play a little bit of Virtua Tennis. We'll play this for a few minutes, just to show it off. This was a really popular Dreamcast game back in the day. And if you want to re-experience it, or experience it for the first time, it's one of the cheapest Dreamcast games available. Like, it's only at $3 or $4 or something like that. The cast of dreams. Solution, welcome to the stream. Cheers. Yeah, so for those of you guys that don't know, is Virtua Tennis was actually a it was an actual arcade game. And so, even though it's a sports game, it's kind of an arcade-style sports game. Not super arcade-style, it's not like Neo Geo sports games, but it is very pick-up-and-play, very easy to get into.
Virtua Tennis. Kuria to serve. Love 15.
Ooh, man. That was definitely more difficult than playing against my brother. My brother was here the last time I played this game on Twitch, and we were just kind of both goofing off. Oops! So pressing Y shifts the camera over. Yeah, the visuals were really impressive back in the day. I mean, the thing is, you know, the thing about the Dreamcast is a lot of games ran at 60 frames a second, and it was really the first platform to do it on such a consistent basis Like, the N64 had a few 60 FPS games, like F-Zero X, for instance. But pretty much most systems before that weren't anywhere close to 60 frames a second. And so, you know, not only were the graphics more detailed and the polygon models more intricate than previous 3D systems, but you had the frame rate as well. I feel like I'm doing something wrong here. Mario Tennis on the Virtual Boy was so much easier. Then again, this was an arcade game, so the difficulty was... There we go. Was probably high by default.
15, 14.
So it looks like one thing I want to do is try to bait this guy into, like, rolling, and when he rolls, I can smack the ball to the other side and he won't be able to get it. Ooh. Whoa, that was fast.
First game.
Pentium 3 was the Threadripper of its day. Pentium 3 was pretty great. There we go. Got it.
Love 15.
I always love that positive Sega arcade music. Yeah. I could totally hear, like,
Love 14.
Daytona vocals in the background and it would totally work. Oh.
14.
Yeah, 3DFX, man. They were really awesome for a while. And then they shot themselves in the foot. But their stuff was great. You know, especially up through the Voodoo 3.
Game video. One game more.
Are they worth anything? The maracas are probably worth the most, but still not that much. I don't know, $50 for the maracas maybe? If they're boxed. Maybe a little bit more. Fishing rod and stuff like that, no, that's not really worth anything. Nice! UMD's the future. But I like UMD! Yeah, so I'm starting to get the hang of this. Oh, look at that.
14 love.
And in an alternate universe, the 3DO M.2, or M2, wasn't just a kiosk. It's actually kind of good the M2 didn't come out, because it would have been stomped by the Dreamcast, like, immediately after. The M2 looked like it was really kind of like above the N64, but like kind of like behind the Dreamcast based on all the tech demos that have been shown. So, but I mean, as a fan of 3DO, like It is still kind of sad that it never did see the light of day. But if it had come out in like 96, you know, around the same time as the N64, I think it could have had a small chance at something. Wow. Yeah, because I can see exactly what the AI is doing right now. It's like, if I'm too far over, he's gonna swat the ball over as far over as he can. See? You want an even better alternate reality, Bossenberg? Is in an alternate universe, the GameCube actually had good games. Not just a good screen, but good games too. The screen was pretty awful in the GameCube, but it was really the game library that did it in. Oh man, GameCube. I want to buy another GameCube just for the collection, but every time I'm about to pull the trigger, I'm like, do I want to spend over $50 for this damn thing? And I keep putting it off. And it's hard to find them in good condition anymore. Like even the original model in box. Yeah, we'll give it one more try. Yeah, Noah, I'm a retro gaming channel, in case you didn't quite figure that part out already. So, just a heads up, we're gonna be talking about a lot of stuff that's older than you. How do you run, by the way? Do you just hold the button? Oh, I can't cross the net, man. It's not gonna let me cross the net. Why is it French? Probably because I'm in France, I'm guessing. It's trying to be somewhat realistic. Man, brutal. This is tough, man. Hey, Icarus. Out. Ooh, nice one. No, Jules. It's a little bit older than that. What was it? Was it 77? Yeah, 77. Fairchild Channel F. The one that even dedicated retro game fans will oftentimes not know exists. Okay, that's it. We got wrecked. But yeah, Virtua Tennis is fun. Especially if you're playing it with someone.
Virtua Tennis.
Virtua Tennis. Let's see if we can do soft reset. Yep. What came out in 81? I don't remember off the top of my head. Back to the boot disk. This one's actually going to be kind of funny because there's there's going to be an announcer that's constantly saying, "Oh, there's no time. There's no time." We're playing some Zombie Revenge. Again, this is one of those ones where the Japanese version was cheaper, but unlike Air Force Delta, it is, you know, pretty much no Japanese is required. More of your Sega Saturn. Sounds like a plan. I don't have a Fairchild Channel F, James, so that would be kind of difficult. Yeah, it's one of those things I probably won't ever buy unless I have, like, a lot of storage space. Because a lot of those, like, Golden Age era systems are... I don't play them that much. Like, the 2600 is the one I play the most. And then I'd like to get an AV modded Intellivision and ColecoVision. And a 5200. And maybe a Bally Astrocade. But aside from that, Wetrix notwithstanding, but you know, that's not something I can really stream without having a much higher quality camcorder to point at it. Yeah, that's stuff like oh, Odyssey 2 as well, but stuff like the Fairchild Channel F is just like a novelty, you know, like. But I've always wanted one. Like, don't get me wrong, I've always wanted one for the collection, but I just, you know, I have to hold back. I do currently have a Intellivision. It's a System 3 model, or Model 3, you know, the silver one. Which is basically just, you know, a Model 1, but it's silver. And I do have a AV modded 2600. I have a super broken AV modded 7800. But I don't have a ColecoVision anymore, and I'd like to get one again. Yeah, so we're gonna get absolutely destroyed in this game. I am terrible at Zombie Revenge, but it is a pretty cool game. And it's one I want to try to put more time into sometime. In order to try to beat it, like, and not credit feed my way through it, but like maybe get a 1 credit clear or only continue once or something like that. Yeah, if you want something like a ColecoVision or any of those old systems, you want to go to dedicated game forums like Atari Age and request for one. You'll get one that's cleaned up and been modded and whatnot. So... Did anyone else have a 5200? I did not have a 5200.
Are we still following this guy?
He's the one making the zombie. To catch him, we
well,
have
Boss
to
and
follow.
Perv, that stream wouldn't last very long, unfortunately. I'd have to spend a crazy amount of money to get like a good refurbished controller. Well, that would make sense, Noah, if he's your grandfather and not just your father. Grandfathers are usually old, not young. Yeah, so you can pick up different guns and stuff like that. You've got a gun to start. And you've got these sort of like reticles that hover over your enemies, and if you shoot the enemies when the reticles turn red, you do more damage with your firearm. But you can also, you know, punch, kind of like Dynamite Deca, which is Die Hard Arcade in the United States. There's also Dynamite Cop on Dreamcast, which is actually Dynamite Deca Part 2. Die Hard Arcade Part 2. They just didn't want to pay for the Die Hard license at that point. Hey, Reality Studio! Couldn't get past the Horde controllers. Ah, she died. I've never had that happen before. Oops. Yeah, so she gives you a disc. I love, like, the cheesy voice acting in this game. Bullets. 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 And they're like, there's no time. There's no time. Like, he'll just say it over and over when the clock gets low. It's so cheesy. God, I don't even feel like... Oh.
Bullets.
Bullets. There we go.
Shotgun. Antidote.
Antidote. Shotgun. Yeah, I am... Every time I play this game, I have to relearn the controls. I'm looking like a total noob right now. Just because I'm not that familiar with the game anymore. About 5-6 years ago, I was actually practicing this game on a regular basis, trying to get decent at it. I was able to make it a few levels in without continuing. But it's been ages since I've really done that. But I just wanted to show it off tonight. I thought it would be fun just to have you guys see it. I know a lot of you guys out there aren't that familiar with the Dreamcast. Some of you guys are, some of you are not. Oh, what am I doing? But yeah, this was also an arcade game by Sega. So that kind of explains some of the cheesiness. Sega was like... I don't know if it was intentional, but Sega ended up being like the king of cheese in the arcade. Even more so than like Midway, I think. What the hell is going on here? He keeps grabbing me.
What's happening?
Oops, I was looking at chat.
Damn it.
Yeah, I am absolutely terrible at this game right now. Saturn is his favorite. Saturn is fantastic. Dynamite Cop was actually not unrelated to Die Hard Arcade. It was actually the direct sequel to the original Die Hard arcade game. It's just Sega didn't want to get the license to it, and so it's no longer known as Die Hard. Not that the original Die Hard arcade really had much to do with Die Hard to begin with. But yeah, Dynamite Cop on the Dreamcast is Dynamite Deca 2. Dynamite Deca is what Die Hard Arcade was named in Japan.
Bullets. Bullets.
Why are you... I'm pressing the run button, and then he does this, like, block motion. It's weird. Yeah, the controls are super stiff in this game. So that takes so long to get used to.
Take that.
Bullets. There's no time.
There he goes.
There's no time. There's no time.
There's no time. There's no time. There's no time.
Let's go. That smells awful. Take that. Damn it.
Alright, that's enough of this.
Game over.
Fake Arnold's did the voiceover for this game. There's no time. There's no time. Ooh, scary. It's funny how House of the Dead 2 looks so awesome and this looks so hokey, but I mean, that's how the arcade versions were. This was a port of the arcade game, and, you know, I'm pretty sure the original arcade game ran on the Naomi hardware, and that's what the Dreamcast was based on, so, I was going to play Power Stone, but it's getting kind of late in the stream, and I did a Let's Play on it last weekend, so if any of you guys want to see Power Stone in action, check out my Let's Play. It's an awesome game. So what we're gonna do is what are we gonna do, man? We're gonna play 2 more games. I'm gonna do 1 more racing game. One more racing game. This was another launch title. It's called Super Speed Racing in Japan. It's known as Kart Flag to Flag in North America. It's actually a decent game. It's still relatively cheap. It's like less than $10. And it's kind of a mix of like sim and arcade style racing. So it's super fast like arcade style racing, and the controls are pretty tight. And you can turn pretty quickly if you're at low speeds, but when you're at high speeds, you start sliding all over the place, you lose traction, things like that. So it's got like those sim elements. You have to be able to brake. Now let's see, do I even have game data on here? Oh, I do, apparently. Okay, cool. And we'll just do arcade. But yeah, it is a cool game. I do like it.
Please select a game mode.
I really wish I had Tokyo Extreme Racer here. I'd play that for a little bit. That'd be really fun. And actually, what I'm going to do is eventually buy that. And that's going to do, or that's going to be just like a dedicated stream one night. I always forget, which one do I play? Because these vehicles do have different, different specs.
A transmission. Please select a course.
Here, we'll just do Miami to start off. It's just a simple oval track, nothing too crazy. Yeah, so like I said at the beginning of the stream, if you guys are just joining, this was a variety stream. We're doing a variety of games on the Dreamcast. And, you know, we're playing a lot of like B and C and D grade titles. I don't really have many A grade titles in the system. But what I like about streams like this, even with like the C grade titles, is a lot of them are still really fun and they're cheap. So if you're looking to build a Dreamcast collection, there's still a lot of really good, cheap, or really decent, like, cheap games to pick up. So this one doesn't run at 60 frames a second. I think it's pretty much a solid 30 for what it seems like. But it is, maybe it's like a little less than 30, but it's consistent, which is nice. So it wasn't the most impressive, like, launch title, but it was still decent. And it's got that good old-fashioned Sega arcade-style music. Yeah, Record of Lotus War was pretty awesome. I was playing that on Twitch a couple weeks ago and I was having a good time with it. That's one of those action RPGs from back in the day I actually finished. Oops. Okay, I need to get out of this. And the race. But yeah, there's a full championship mode you can play. You know, so it's got the whole single player thing going on. And arcade is really just about playing, you know, the same course, or just a single course, and just trying to get your best time, pretty much. I don't know if there's really anything you get for, you know, getting first place. I've never even come close, honestly. I have Telnaharis, yeah. It didn't end too well. A lot of Master System fanboys came in, and I was just like, this is annoying. We'll probably do another one, but Master System is one of those touchy systems that it could just be annoying to stream. It brings out the fanboy in all the fanboys. Yeah, I did it actually, probably not a year ago. It's probably a little bit less than a year ago. It was either late last year or early this year. I did a Master System variety stream. Yeah, when you do Master System streams, it brings out all the people that are like, oh, it should have done so much better against the NES. It's just like, oh my god. Do you guys seriously not have anything better to do with your time? But, you know, it's just an old... It's an old thing that's been beaten to death. If anyone has been around on the internet, you know, since the 90s, like I have, these are conversations we've been through hundreds of times, and it's just... I'm too old for this crap. Or too old for that crap now. It's predictable as well. The Master System is a great system. I like it a lot. I've always liked the Master System, and I have a lot of nostalgia for it because I played it at my neighbor's growing up. And I have a lot of good memories of that. And then in the mid-90s, I got into collecting for it, and I have a lot of good memories of that. But, you know, it's not my favorite system from back then, you know? And while it's a great console, like, there's just so many other better consoles that I can be spending my time with on YouTube and Twitch, you know? Which is why you guys don't see me do a lot of Master System Let's Plays. It's because I'd rather just spend my time doing NES Let's Plays or Genesis Let's Plays, or hopefully I'll finally get into doing TurboGrafx Let's Plays again and stuff like that. So a lot of the Master System stuff gets put on the back burner because there's just... I find there's a lot more interesting games I could be playing for the channel elsewhere. But hey, back in October, I finally did a Master of Darkness on Master System. That was a highly requested game, so I'm glad to have finally gotten that one knocked out. And there will be more Master System stuff on the channel. I'll do another variety stream eventually. Oh, don't do that. Oh no. Oh no. Keep going, man. I'm actually in first. So you won a Sega console for an NES competition. That's hilarious, dude. Yeah, the Master System Town of Hearts was not nearly as popular as the NES. I think over the course of its life in North America, it only sold like 2 million units or something, versus the NES's probably like 30-something million units. And so, yeah, it wasn't common to see the Master System, but, you know, if you talk to enough people, you would run into people that owned one. And I was lucky, you know, actually... 2 of my neighbors owned one. One of them just... He never invited people over, and he just kind of, like, stored it away and forgot about it. But one of my other sets of neighbors, they would play the Master System about equally with the NES. And so, you know, I got to play a lot of the early Master System games in the late 80s. The Alex Kids, Afterburner, Super Hang-On, stuff like that. Gangster Town, we played a ton of Gangster Town back in the day. Yeah, lots of stuff like that I have nostalgia for, and you know, I do enjoy the system. Yeah, so it looks like first place doesn't get you anything. It's just, it's about getting your best time, apparently, in arcade mode, so...
Please select a driver.
Yeah, we'll do one more race, and then we'll switch over to another game.
A course.
You still have not played an actual Master System.
Gentlemen, start your engine. Round 17. Houston.
When I see that rolling start, I want to hear, like, in my head, I hear rolling start, like in Daytona, but it doesn't play in this game. It's, I don't know. I feel like the game's missing something without that. Oops! Ow! Oh man, look at that pop-up. Yeah, so you can also actually play, ow. Never mind. No, there we go. Yeah. So you can do third person if you want, but I feel like it doesn't control as well in third person. And it probably controls exactly the same. I'm just not used to it from this angle. So, like, this is one of those games I have to play in first person. It just feels much more responsive to me. And maybe it's just a perceptual thing. But it really feels like it's more accurate and snappy in first person. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Reality. The Leica games on Master System were really awesome. They're some of my favorite games to play in the Master System. Like Rescue Mission, Gangster Town is one of my all-time favorite light gun games. That's kind of like a precursor to Virtua Cop, actually. It's a very similar concept. And it was by Sega. The light gun was much more accurate on the Master System. It was more comfortable. Alright, we're doing absolutely horribly here, so we're just gonna switch games right now. Yeah, no, TurboGrafx is great, man. I mean, what I recommend when it comes to that is you buy the system and then you get a flash card, like the Turbo EverDrive. That's basically what I do. TurboGrafx games are extremely expensive and totally not worth it for the prices they go for these days. But it's a fantastic console. If you like the 16-bit systems like Genesis and Super Nintendo, you really need a TurboGrafx to go along with that. Or a Japanese PC engine, you know, same thing, basically. So, yeah, as far as a stream of it, I'm not sure when I'm going to do one. It might be, I don't know. I need to get my Turbo. I have a Japanese PC engine Duo, which had it had issues. First, it needed the caps replaced. and then it needed the disc drive replaced or the lens replaced. And when you replace the lens on the PC Engine Duo or Turbo Duo, it I don't know, there's a whole lot of like potentiometer adjustments you have to make. It's a major pain to get it stable, and so that's kind of been the hold off for me. But really, I don't need that to work if I just want to play the Hue card games, and I have a Turbo EverDrive for that. I just use a flash card. So Super Analog NT, that looks pretty sweet. I mean, I think that's probably going to be the best way to play Super NES on an HD display, you know, better than through an upscaler. So we'll see how that one works out. I'm not going to buy one right away because I already have, you know, my Super Nintendo, and it's got, you know, it does RGB out into my FrameMeister. But, you know, I might eventually buy a Super NT. If that video quality is that much sharper, that'd be great for, like, YouTube and stuff like that. So Super Nintendo has fairly blurry RGB, no, just fairly blurry video out, even with RGB on the original systems. There is a updated Super Nintendo, updated internally anyway, that has a cleaner picture, but it's kind of hard to find those. And so yeah, so what I might do is eventually buy the Super Analog or Analog Super NT. Yeah, so yeah, the Duo has very picky lasers, unfortunately, and that's the issue I'm having right now, even after replacements of both the caps and the laser. But you don't need the laser to work to play the card games, you know, basically the base system games. So, and I'd like to practice some of those games to do dedicated Let's Plays, but yeah, we will also do a variety stream sometime. So yeah, this is Wetrix Plus. Wetrix came out on the Nintendo 64. It was also a PC game, and the Dreamcast version is probably the best one to play, although it's not an easy game at all. It can be very frustrating and confusing. I'm still confused to this day how certain aspects work, and I'll try to just explain those as we play the game. I'll do arcade mode, you know, once or twice. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into it. There's a bunch of gameplay modes in this game, though. Like, there's a lot of gameplay modes. Yeah, East Books 1 and 2 are CD games. But the thing about East Books 1 and 2 is, like, you know, there's plenty of great remakes of those games. So it's like, they almost make the original PC Engine CD versions, like, kind of redundant, you know? So you might be better off just playing the remakes of those. Same with East 3. Although East 3, I think it's worth revisiting if you do the Genesis or Super Nintendo versions. Not the TurboGrafx version, because the TurboGrafx one of that game is really choppy. So yeah, you got practice mode, classic mode, options, multiplayer, you can do multiplayer. So one thing I didn't really note is that a lot of Dreamcast games, if you don't have a second controller plugged in, it won't actually recognize, or it actually won't enable the multiplayer option. So you'll need to plug in another controller to make that appear. So see what the options are. Save scores, music, sound effects, stereo, vibration, on, off, score codes. So it looks like you could, this probably had a website you can go to, and you could probably enter codes to upload your high scores. It says absolutely nothing about that on the box, but I'll have to look through the manual sometime and see if that was actually a thing. I mean, it must have been a thing. So that's pretty cool. And I've always liked, like, the visual effects in this game. Like, you can see the text. It's got that, like, you know, shifting water effects. I've always liked details like that in games. Very, very stylish, very fun, very arcadey. Alright, so I'll do classic and try to explain what's going on here. So it's a block dropper puzzler, but from a top-down perspective. And the idea is to make lakes. So you've got these up arrows that basically raise the ground. And we're going to try to make everything as neat as possible to start off. Kind of like this. I did a video on 15 awesome-looking Dreamcast games back in 2014, and I put this game on the list. And people have been like railing on the video over the years because this game was on it. They're like, "Why the hell is Wetrix on there?" It's just like, I'm just thinking to myself, you guys have no taste. It's all about polygon counts and stuff like that. You guys have no artistic taste. Not you guys. I'm talking like some of the comment, like in response to some of the comments I get. But you'll notice that Wetrix Plus is a very clean-looking game. It's got a very cool background that shifts slowly. It's very sharp-looking. It's smooth. The water effects are very nice, and that's why I included it on the list. It's like one of those examples of games that just look very clean. They're just very well designed. You know, just because it doesn't have a 3 trillion polygons doesn't mean it's not an impressive effort, visually speaking. So yeah, basically the goal is to make these lakes and then fill them up with water, and you get points for dropping objects down, and depending on how many lakes you have, you'll get more or less points. These down arrows, these green down arrows, push the ground down, and you notice there's a hole in the top right, and this is a fireball. It'll suck up all the water that it hits. Now you'll notice that there's a water meter on the right and a earthquake meter on the left. If either of them go all the way up, it's game over. And you'll notice that water's dripping off from the sides, so I'm gonna try to block off the edges to keep water from dripping off to the sides. If you have enough lakes, you'll get this rainbow. It's called a rainbow multiplier. So your scores are multiplied at that point. It seems like a lot of your points come from using the fireball in fully powered up lakes. So let's see my score, and that's the level change. I also noted that in my Dreamcast video, and I think it's really awesome. Yeah, so you get a lot of points for using the fireball, and that's where having the rainbow multiplier is good. You've got these missiles that'll blow through your ground, and you need to fix the ground because the water can seep out. Town of Hearts, is the game fairly cheap? Yeah, it is fairly cheap. I think it's like $10 to $15 now. It's gone up in price a little bit, but it's still a budget title, all things considered. Which is another one of the reasons why I like to recommend it to people, because it's a fun, cheap game, albeit quite frustrating. But it's got a lot of charm too. Like, look, you got the rubber duckies. And the rubber duckies have some sort of, score elements as well. And we got these ice blocks coming down now. Yeah, it's a fun puzzle game, but it can be very frustrating. Like I said, like, one of my complaints with the game is the earthquake meter. Like, I find it very difficult to manage. So every time, like, you push the ground back down, the earthquake meter drops a tiny bit. If you drop blocks in, like, a lopsided kind of way, the earthquake meter rises very fast. We're gonna get a lot of points for that one, actually. Oh yeah, lots of points times 10. So the rubber duckies are probably a score multiplier as well. Like, I've never dived deep into the scoring system, but I feel like the game would be a lot more interesting if I did. I like good scoring systems, so we're gonna drop this, get some points. What is that worth? 547 times, yeah, it showed the rubber duckies as the points went up, so they must be some kind of multiplier. Alright, so the water is about to overflow. So the level's about to change as well, and game over. Yeah, so like I said, I really enjoy this game. It's always been like a personal favorite of mine on the Dreamcast because, you know, it's very accessible. You know, it's very pick up and play. I can fire it up, play a few games, and it's addictive or addicting like a lot of classic block droppers are. And if I'm feeling like a masochist, I can play pro mode. Oops. Yeah, so the fireball is where you get most of your points from. So I guess the goal is to get your lakes up and then use your fireballs as they come in, and that's where most of your score comes from. Well, that water is just flowing out really fast. Wow, game over already. Jeez. Yeah, the Dreamcast has a lot of, like, I guess, in this day and age, it's what people would consider to be oddball titles, but back in the day, like, this was, like, normality for the Dreamcast, you know? Just lots of, like, offbeat stuff that is really fun. It still looks good. Like, this is still a great-looking game, in my opinion. It's really aged quite nicely, actually, on the Dreamcast specifically. On N64, not so much. On PC, not so much because of... Well, on PC, it's a different story. But N64, it's got that typical N64 blur and blah, blah, blah. And I don't even think it's 60 frames a second. Challenge. 1 minute, 5 minutes, 20... Preset A, preset B. We'll try one of these presets.
One play, I do worthy.
So using a fireball on the ice cubes will thaw them out. And something I also wanted to demonstrate is if you drop a missile in an existing hole, a bunch of more, several other missiles will fall down from the sky. So let me demonstrate that. So right here, rebomb, bam, and it's pretty much just instant game over at that point. So you don't want to drop another missile through an existing hole. You know, these are little things you learn as you play the game. So we'll quit. And that's pretty much it. That's Wetrix Plus. And, yeah, so there's like other games I wanted to play. Like I've got Quake 3 Arena here, but it's got music by Aubrey Hodges. and his stuff gets copyright claimed on YouTube, man. It's so annoying. So like I don't want to risk playing Quake 3 on YouTube, but I will play it on Twitch sometime for anyone that wants to see. That's kind of a bummer. I wanted to show that off, but I can't really do it. I can do it if I turn the music off, but I don't know. Quake 3 without music is just not Quake 3 to me. So, but I've got other games here. I've got like Test Drive Le Mans, Centipede, Slave Zero, Suzuki All-Star Extreme Racing, which is actually called Redline Racer in Japan. Obviously Power Stone, Phantasy Star Online version 2, Gauntlet Legends, Record of Lotus War, and those games we're going to do dedicated streams for eventually. Gauntlet Legends will be a live stream very soon, most likely, probably in the coming weeks. Let's see, Crazy Taxi, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Sega Bass Fishing. I want to play Crazy Taxi as well, but it's got copywritten music. And I feel like that'll get a copyright claim too. And the thing is, I like to avoid copyright claims on these long live streams because it takes forever to process like the audio removals on YouTube's system. So I just try to avoid them completely. I also have Neo Golden Logers, which is a Japanese pinball game. Ready to Rumble. And Coaster Works. That's pretty much my entire Dreamcast library right now. Yeah, and we've gone through many of those games on stream tonight. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to wrap it up here, actually. You know, it's not quite 1 a.m. yet. It's a good 3.5 hours long. We played a bunch of different games tonight. I think you guys seemed entertained, and hopefully if you guys are watching on the archive, you enjoyed it. So, yep, no Sonic. I'm actually not the biggest fan of the Sonic Adventure games, but I do want to get the first Sonic Adventure. I've been putting it off. I've actually been getting back into the Dreamcast buying just recently, so my collection was only just like a handful of games up until about a month and a half ago, and then I started buying Dreamcast games again. So, you know, I picked up about 25 Dreamcast games in the last, month and a half, so it's like, that's a pretty good rate. And there's some other ones I'm going to pick up, but there's also lots I'm not going to pick up because they're too expensive, and I just want to get the GDMU eventually. So, yeah, no problem, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Boston Burf, James Campbell, Pop, Talnaharis, Encrypted Printer, Smithereens. Ronnie, I am doing Twitch tonight. So yeah, for anyone that wants to hang out on Twitch, I will be consuming some alcohol on Twitch, and I'll be playing. I have no idea what I'm going to be playing. I have to figure it out, so hey man, the whale chase is amazing. It still is amazing. That was the single thing that sold me on the Dreamcast back in the day, was seeing that on a kiosk, a Dreamcast kiosk, and I was like, I have to pre-order this. I'm in high school and have no money. I have no idea how I'm gonna do this, but I'm going to do this. And it was the first console I ever pre-ordered, and I didn't even have a job at the time. I did work around the neighborhood basically to get money to pay for it. So that was something. And then I got a job shortly after getting the Dreamcast, and then that's how I was able to buy so many games for it back in the day. Is I had a paying job finally, my first job in high school. I was in 11th grade when the Dreamcast came out. So yeah, good memories for me when it comes to the Dreamcast. It was a good time in gaming. Great games, many of which still hold up really well. I didn't forget you, Miku. I didn't know you were still there. Now, unlike Twitch, I don't have a list of people that are in the chat, so unless you guys are typing, I have no idea who's actually out there. I just see a number, and right now it says 27 people watching. What 27 people there are, I have no idea unless they're typing. So, but hello, Miku. Hopefully, we'll see you over at Twitch if you're bored. That's what you need from the Switch, a whale chase. Maybe that's what'll sell you on the Switch. Maybe they'll port the first Sonic Adventure. Oh, man. Yeah, I love the little animations on these icons. Yeah, the game's got a lot of personality, like I said. Yeah, fun stuff. Oh, man. Yeah, so like I said, guys, that's pretty much going to do it for me. I'm going to go over the Twitch in a few minutes, and it's going to take a few minutes to get me started up on that stream. And so I'll post the link in the chat for you guys. For those of you guys that are interested in hanging out over there for a little bit. And there you go. So I'm going to end this with, I guess, another thanks to our Patreon backers. As usual, if anyone's interested in supporting the channel through Patreon, links are in the description box as always, and thank you guys that are constantly supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. It really means a lot to me, and it really helps me out, especially in the pocketbook. We're gonna also flash by the old super chatters from the last month. Christopher Margot did a donation tonight, so he'll get his name back on the list. So thank you, Christopher. I know you're probably not out there anymore, but thank you for that. And yeah, take care, guys. There's gonna be another Let's Play on Sunday, so stay tuned for that. It is going to be a Super Nintendo game. Yeah. Wait, no. My bad. It's gonna be a Sega CD game. Sorry. It'll be a Super Nintendo game the week after that. My bad. But yeah, Sega CD game. Haven't done a Sega CD game in a while, so I think you guys will enjoy it. And yeah, and then a Super Nintendo game after that. Nintendo property. See ya, Reality Studio. Take care, man. See ya, Jules, Pop, and James. Glad to see you, James. It was nice. I bet it was nice having a day off tonight. So James usually works Thursday nights, but since it was Thanksgiving in North America today, or United States, he was off work and was able to join us. So it was good having you, James. Oops, wrong one. There we go. So, alrighty, guys, I'm out. Twitch link is up there if you want to follow me over there. If not, Let's Play on Sunday, and I'll try to be back. I will be back next Thursday with yet another live stream. Unless something else comes up. We'll see. So, take it easy, guys, and have yourselves a good night.